Hey everybody, Derick Van Ness here, wealth strategist, investor, and life adventurer, and I've got something new for you today. I want to talk about the biggest mistake that I see small business owners and investors making, and this is a huge one. And by the end of this video, you're going to be able to tell whether this is something that applies to you or not. I think it's going to be really important as the economy continues to shift in the very near future, so you don't want to miss this and stick around to the end. And here's the idea, is that a lot of people out there, especially in the financial world, they're trying to optimize everything, right? Let's optimize our cash flow. Let's optimize our debt. Let's optimize keeping our money working all the time. But this was something I already knew, but I heard it said in a way that I've never heard before. And it was this. It was that when we optimize too far or get too efficient, we sacrifice resilience. Okay, so when we get too optimized, we sacrifice resilience. So what does that actually mean? What it means is when you're running on a razor's edge, on a very, very thin margin, when you've got all your cash, like I see people doing this, like trying to pay off their house early, right? Which I'm all for paying off your house early if you want to do that. But I've got a whole nother video that you can go and check out that talks about the best way to do that. But I see this a lot with trying to pay off student loan debts, paying off houses, paying off business debt. They're running on such a thin margin, they're taking every bit of cash and putting it towards these other things. Now, the good news is when they put the cash toward these other loans, they're paying off those loans, so they're getting more efficient, right? They're not losing that cash to interest that's paid out. But here's the problem. When you do this, you sacrifice the ability to be resilient, right? When something like COVID-19 comes along, or when some of the other things that we're experiencing in the economy or have experienced over the past years come along, you're not as prepared to do that. So, and I want to tell you a little bit more about how do we create a good balance between that. But before I do that, if you're enjoying this content, please smash that like button. If you're liking what you're hearing, subscribe. All of that stuff really helps the channel, gets more people out there, allows me to do more videos, and I really want to do that because we are reaching a lot of people and I'm getting a lot of good feedback. Now, having said that, where do we balance that, right? Because we don't want to be super inefficient. I talked to a client today that has 7 figures sitting in the bank doing 0, right? That's very inefficient with those dollars. And then I have other clients who literally take their paycheck, have it put into a line of credit where they've like refinanced all their credit cards in order to not pay interest on that. And they call that velocity banking. And that can have a place, but they're doing it so closely that if they got their line of credit cut off, like if things start to happen with banks or whatever, they could lose everything because they've got 0 cash on hand. And then there's everywhere in between, right? And so I think what we want to be really clear about is not being so efficient that we just tighten the noose around our own neck to the point where we're going to suffocate if we slip, and right? So here's a couple of good rules on this. For personal cash flow, I think you should always have 3 to 6 months worth of personal expenses set aside to help with some of those buffers and create some resiliency. Now, that money's not going to be super efficient from an earnings standpoint, but it's going to protect all your other investments, all the other things that you're doing with your life, and allow you to go through if the car breaks down or the kids need braces or there's an emergency room visit or something. That's not going to put you over the edge, right? For your business, I think you should have a minimum of 1 to 2 months worth of operating capital. So what does that mean? That means how much money does it take you to run your business? So I work with a lot of chiropractors and dentist office and auto shops and real estate investors. And a lot of these guys have employees and they have an office and all that. So their overhead might be $30,000 or $40,000 a month. That's what it takes to pay the bills, pay the employees, pay themselves, and have enough money in the bank. So I would say for those people, at least 1 full or potentially 2 months worth of operating capital. If you need a little bit more for your own mindset, that's fine. So that gives you some resilience. Outside of that, you can take all your money, you can go and get it working for you and make it work. And we teach systems for that kind of stuff. But you want to have the resilience of when things don't go perfect, when the razor's edge is tipped just a little one way or the other, you don't lose everything. I think that's going to be even more important in the years to come. But I want you to think about that. What if things didn't go perfectly for the next 3 months? How resilient am I? On the flip side, How many idle resources do I have sitting around? If you've got a ton of cash sitting around, or you got a ton of other things that could be being utilized and aren't, we should probably talk so we can help you to optimize that. But I just want you to not make the mistake of running on the red line the whole time, because there are going to be some bumps along the way. And if you're running too efficient, you won't be resilient. And when something comes along, you're likely to just be brittle and break, right? We want to be flexible enough so that when things happen, we can handle those. So this is just the tip. The biggest mistake that I see business owners making, investors making, is trying to be too efficient. Don't make that mistake. If you want help, we're here to help you. If you have questions, drop them in the comment box below. And as always, smash that like button, subscribe, share this with people who need to hear it. My name's Derick Van Ness, and I appreciate you stopping by.